Hi, this is Florian from 99 Startups, and I have today a new podcast guest. Would you be so kind to introduce yourself?
Hi, Florian. My name is Pascal. Happy really to be here. I'm 30 years old, coming from Düsseldorf, where I'm also working as an innovation manager. And basically, I started now, let's think, 14 years ago in a utility company as an electrician, so really as an or with an apprenticeship. And then over the time, I had some interesting stops in different areas like telecommunication and OT security and digitization. And now since a half a year, almost now, I'm in innovation.
So interesting journey. How did it go on from the electrician job? So why did you leave this job, and how did you find your next stop in the journey?
I can't even say if I really left this job. I mean, this sounds maybe a little bit odd, but you need to imagine. So I started with my apprenticeship in the age of 16. And because I was interested in this, and also I need to honestly say, my father is also working in the same direction, so to say. So it was interesting for me, and now thinking back, I think it was a really nice start. But over the years, yes, I changed my focus, but I always sticked to grid, for example, so utility company and grid business. So that's why partly, yes, I left this job, but I think deep inside there's still electrician in me.
So it makes sense. So you kept your love for energy, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and it probably also helped you a lot that you have some foundational knowledge, right? I would guess.
Yeah, you're completely right. This is very important now. If you're talking about new stuff, new developments like in digitization or now also in innovation, it's always good when you have more or less profound the basic on which you can develop something or discuss also with several stakeholders. So that's why I wouldn't miss this what I learned there.
So, but normally it's also hard to imagine how to make from there the next step. So you do an internship, you learn the basics. What was for you then the next step?
For me, the first next step, which I made in parallel, because I left school after, so in German you say Realschule, so after 10th grade. And in parallel to my apprenticeship, I went for evening school. And this was also kind of a start in a pattern for the next years. So I went to evening school. I made my Abitur because I thought, yeah, maybe after apprenticeship, maybe I would like to know more. I would like to train and develop more. And that was basically the basic of everything. And after the apprenticeship, I switched to telecommunication, but the operational part more, which was not really so much connected to what I learned during my apprenticeship. And maybe this is also a pattern which you then can see over the next years in my career, that even though I stayed always in utility company and always focusing on grid, the focus always shifted, I would say. Yeah.
So it helps you to get always a different perspective, right? So what was the perspective in this area then you got?
In telecommunication, I think this is the basis of digitization, I need to say. So when you think about digitization in grid, then it's mostly about telecommunication, about how to make things smart. I think if you narrow it down smart, how can you connect things, devices, etc., what is out there to make a smart grid working, I think you come back to telecommunications. So that's why this was yeah, this is a very good basis for everything, all the buzzwords which are out there.
Yeah, so you mean like if you connect devices, it always needs somehow telecommunication connection. And the other side,
Yeah.
normally they need also energy, and it's normally related to some energy-wise. So these technologies are always there to realize the smart IoT, whatever you want to go in the direction. There are always these two technologies, the foundation to make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, makes absolute sense. So, had you already in this time innovation in mind, or did you just go along with the flow?
It was more going along with the flow. I think the very first milestone for me was when back then I had a very good manager who encouraged me also to make my project management certification, and this was more or less the start of doing projects in general. But you need to keep in mind that after the apprenticeship and after my Abitur, and in parallel to my job in telecommunication, I was also going for university, which was then in the evening and also in the weekend, which was economical engineering with focus on energy industry, which then also gave really a super broad perspective on what is out there in energy industry. And this is, I think this is still one of the best branches I could imagine of. So energy is super. What is happening there with the German Energiewende and all the things which are out there, all the trends you have, this is really one of the, for me, the best place to be and to work and to develop.
Would you recommend to do always education and the working experience parallel? Because it seems like it goes in your CV that you always did this parallel, like educate yourself and then at the same time do work. So would you recommend this to a 18-year-old person to go this route?
This is really a tough question because I think it depends what you expect from your studies and what are you looking for when you go for university. For me, what was always important is that I have a stable income, for example, that I have hands-on knowledge, what I can learn, that I have my experience, and not only in internships, really with bigger projects already. So this was for me important. So my first priority was always to go to work, and the second priority was then to educate, to develop further. So if you're seeking for the stable income and hands-on experience, I can really recommend it because, for example, for me, I never bothered with, for example, my schedule in university because it was tailor-made for the students. So this is really an advantage. On the other hand, if, for example, for you, it's important to go into different areas and try yourself out. What is interesting for you? In which direction later you want to become a professional or start your career? Then probably it's better when you concentrate full time on your university degree, on your study, because then also you have a chance to go abroad, see different universities, and For me, I mean, you need to know that this private evening school or evening university is quite expensive. I need to say, so that's why it's always, let's say, it was quite strict. So there was not really the decision if be a little bit more lazy and try yourself out. No, it was really not pressure, but it was also kind of a motivator to cut these spendings.
And you don't want to overspend it. You invested money in, so you want to get something out. How did you handle work-life balance in these times? Was this a big issue, or was it just that was your life, working and studying?
That was my life, I would say, especially when it comes to the examination phase, which was then around 5 weeks, always on Saturdays. This was super tough. So it was only work, then learning, going to bed, and on the weekend, make your exams. Sundays was the day off for me, so to say, and on Monday, it started again the week. On the other hand, the free time you had, it was not so much about it, so much of it, but you appreciate it more. So if you really have this dense or tough schedule, because you do both things in parallel, then you appreciate your time more. It's well invested, so to say. So I give you an example of the during the examination phase. I was not really taking days off, because then I didn't use the time I had during this day. I didn't use it so well. So this made me frustrated, because you took one day off, you invested this time, but then in the end, you didn't use it so well. So in the end, I stick with a regular working pattern, and in the evening, I learned from my exams. And this turned out that this is the best way for me.
Yeah, it's also an interesting effect if you compare in university students with children and without children. It seems like normally that like the students with children are way more effective to study, because they don't have time to waste. It's kind of similar what you explained. They appreciate if they have time with their kids and if they have off time, so they study really focused. Yeah, it makes absolutely sense to appreciate also your free time to have a better work-life balance.
Yeah.
So you transitioned in your working career into a project management. So what did you took out of there?
Yeah, project management, or
with your transition to project management in your working career in this time.
I think the first learning was what you learn theoretically is really not comparable to how you do it in practice. So I think this is the one and very important learning of this.
Would you still recommend to do the certification, or would you just say, okay, start with it and learning it by doing it?
No. I would still recommend to make a certification. So first of all, Germany is still, I think, really a country where you need to have from time to time these certifications. But I mean, for me, it's important that you know the basic rules, basic patterns, basic approaches. Not necessarily that you should stick to it, but I think it's important to create your own habits, your own ideas, what is important for you and what not. And for this, you need to have this kind of training to know what is out there and which templates, which formats you can or should use according maybe to rules. But then it's also on you to figure out what is working for you and what not. Especially in project management is so much about stakeholder management, and this basically is about communication skills, and this is something which you only can learn while doing projects.
Yeah, can you summarize which main takeaways you took for yourself, if you would need to write down the main takeaways for your son which want to get in project management, or some other friend which starting it in this field? Would you be able to say, okay, this focus on these 3 points, this worked for me?
I would say listen to the people who are supporting you, or also maybe who are challenging you. Not get afraid or threatened by people with a different opinion. But this is not only a learning in project management. I think this is something for life. So, but this is really a very important one, because after a while you get really stick to your baby, to your project, and then it's quite hard also if someone is judging it. This is important. Then for me, it's about being honest to yourself and to your stakeholders, to your team members, project members, in terms of ambition, in terms of time plan. This is for me important. Be realistic And if something is not working out how you planned it, then address it, be open about it, and talk about it, how to solve the problem instead of trying to hide it somewhere.
Yeah. Or trying to lie to yourself, even if it's not conscious. So sometimes you not even do it consciously. You just don't want to see the truth. Yeah, absolutely
exactly.
true. Yeah.
And maybe the third point is ask your people who are around you about their motivator, because each project is not only content driven. It can be also, I mean, there's hidden agendas from every member, every stakeholder, and I think it's important that that you are aware, and that you maybe can also support each other with aiming striving for these hidden agendas, because when you address it openly in the beginning, I think it's easier to work together.
Yeah. How do you ask this? Do you just ask what's your motivation, or what's your hidden agenda, or how do you ask what's the question you ask the people to get it out of them?
Mostly, I need to say that I start from myself. It's kind of an icebreaker to say this is my motivator. This is what I want to learn, or what I'm also driving for. Yeah. So what is important for me, and then you can see the reaction of the people if they're also willing to chip in and to share. First, maybe their thoughts on my openness and my motivator. Second, also what is motivating themselves and what is important for them. But for this, you can't always say that this is the first meeting, the first project meeting. You can do this because you need to have this kind of relationship, trust already, and this depends with which kind of people you are working in this project.
Did you have the issue that like people didn't open up? And if yes, how did you handle that scenario?
Yeah, I think you always have this kind of personas which are rather closed. You can try to be honest and open, and try to encourage them to do the same. Sure, but if they don't want to, I think then it's quite hard, because this is really a personal thing. And when you talk about personas and in which area you have your strengths or weaknesses, this is quite hard. So this really highly depends on the person itself.
And probably then just time is your ally. That means you just try it and you encourage them, but you then go on and hope that maybe it come around, or maybe it works out, because the goals are not so far away from yours. And then you just handle it on the way. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So in the project management phase, what projects you tackled? So did something hit you in a special way, or stick to your mind?
Stick to, you mean what was a great project I was working on, or what is the connection between those projects?
For example, up to you. I don't know. Like, you need to answer it. I was not there in your projects. Even it would be interesting, but sadly not.
No, I don't know if there are any connections between those projects. I mean, I think over the time, I would see myself more as a generalist. So that's why I'm always interested in learning something new and developing something what will be or what is an impact, what can be an impact, can create added value for the company, for the team. This is, I think, what motivates me.
Yeah. So you're way more opportunistic in the projects and in the way to finding the new projects, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
Sometimes it's better to go with the flow instead of thinking too much.
Yeah. I remember the last time we spoke, you said it's good to be a generalist. Why do you think that?
Because world is changing too much, too fast. And when back then I made my decision to go for this economical engineering study. There were people who told me, why are you doing this? This is not fish, not meat. Why not going for a real engineer? And I decided, no, I would like to do this. And for me, it's important because projects or also other things in life, it's more that you need to have a broader perspective on things. So it's not only black or only white. Usually you need to see all the gray shades in between. And correct. For me, it's important that you can adapt to new situations, new projects, new topics, new developments, new buzzwords also. And that's why for me, I'm happy that I'm more into this generalistic approach than sticking to one field. I mean, there are pros and cons, and I think there is no right or wrong in this. Because on the other hand, when you're a generalist, then sometimes it's also hard to define where you are good in. Because if you stick to one topic, then you know that you are an expert in this or that field. And then you can really discuss, or that you have deep knowledge. And this is sometimes what I also miss, I need to admit. That's why I always try to find my niche where I can develop, where I can gain new experience. And that's why for me personally, I like it to be a generalist.
Yeah, a specialist has sometimes an easier life because he can way easier choose, and he doesn't have so many decisions to make, kind of. And a generalist is way more like the curiosity and the openness helps them to have a lot of options, but sometimes also too many options. And how you said, like normally they can do a lot of things okay, but nothing really, really good. So it has both advantages. And I would also say to being a generalist is also more mindset, a curiosity mindset, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I completely empathize with this. It's about what is driving you, and what are you also willing to learn, and how do you tackle the unknown? I think this is really a crucial part. And
Yeah, I completely agree. So not being afraid of the unknown and being more curious about the unknown is one of the things I would say defines a generalist. Yeah, completely agree. I remember you said on the beginning that you also worked in security. How this was coming up? Like, how did you get into this area?
Let me think where we stuck with my CV. I think in telecommunication, but more in operation. And so after a while, I changed to telecommunication strategy. In this department, I was also the asset owner, so to say, of the telecommunication infrastructure. And there I also made problems, yes, projects, solve problems, hopefully. And one of the latter project was in security, OT security, which was, OT security is far behind the regular IT security. And if you would ask me if I had there any knowledge or basis for it, not really. But there again, I was coming from the field, and I knew the substations and everything what is important in grid. And we started with screening startups. What I really like, because when you can listen to startup pitches, you get a feeling what is the current status of technology and what is the current trend, and by this you get a bigger picture.
Yeah, I completely agree. You get a feeling of what's going on right now on the innovation field. And so your job was to find solutions for certain problems, or to build something up, or what was your goal there, your job that you needed to do?
Yeah, the job was basically to as a role of asset owner, to build up an OT security team, but we had also expert specialists in different companies for it. So it was rather that again, I was more not motivator, but the project manager to lead the experts and bringing in a kind of structured way deliverables in this field.
How do you go about to have the job to build up a team in a field where you have not much clue? How did you tackle this challenge?
Yeah, this is really a challenge because especially when you're also honest about your lack of knowledge sometimes, it's important to know which people are around you. So can you trust them, how loyal they are, and again, what is their motivator in this? For me, I had the fortune to work there with great people together with great experience. And so the people basically were already there, needed sometimes maybe a little bit more structure, or also a goal in which direction we would like to go. And I was there to help them to drive their ideas also further, to make decisions in which direction we would like to go and what is important for us as the team there, and to organize things. But yes, I also heavily relied on them.
Yeah. So it was more like in a role of kind of a product owner, and you just led the team to see if you all together go in the right directions, and help to decide certain things which need to be decided. Yeah, cool. What would you say were the key factors there to successfully lead a team? Pascal, you still there?
Oh, sorry. I was
interesting.
Just
You were
got the
muted.
lost the
I was
connection here.
I was like, okay, long thinking, even longer thinking. So,
No.
my question were, what were your key learnings there? Like, what someone needs to do, or what are key factors to be a good leader, or like to lead a team?
I would say in general, trust your people, listen to them, and create together a common goal, which is motivating.
Yeah.
And I would say let the fun begin, because why I mentioned fun, sometimes you need to add really fun, or not sometimes, usually always you should add fun. And unfortunately, not always the people are also concentrating on having fun while working, right? And this is for me always important. And this refers back also to the motivator, what you want to learn or what you want to build for the company, for the department. And so that's why, yes, it's also about fun.
So what are ways you are able to add fun? Because it sounds like a good tip, but probably most people think, okay, how to do it?
To add fun?
Yeah, to add fun.
I would say when you're motivated, when you can develop things which you're also interested in, then you also don't have the discussion about work-life balance, for example, which you asked me already back then with the study. When you are interested in things, I think then you don't need this strict work-life balance, because then it's about fun and about what is driving you. And then it motivates you.
Yeah, I see where you're going, but I was thinking more like for some culture things also you were able to implement, because most people also say, yeah, I like what I do and I like my job, but I don't have fun there. So I think there's still a gap between, and so I'm wondering if there's some small techniques or some things you can do to really use this as a tip, because I kind of understand where you go about it and where you want to go with this phrase, using fun. And but my gut feeling is there is also something behind it. Like, for example, at the place where I work, we exchanged the nameplates at the doors of the offices to Lego plates to put Lego there, and it was just an idea of one person which had fun to try it out, and the one office did it, and then the others followed because it looked really fun, it was fun, and then it was just made. So, and this is just more a kind of a culture thing and a mindset also. So it's a nice example how to do it. So what would you say where little things you could say, okay, I see right now we having fun?
I would sum it up with, you have fun, or you know that it's okay when you can be yourself. Also, using your example, yes, it's a cultural thing, and for me, so what is important, or what your example shows, is that if you know, or if you feel comfy to change your nameplates with Lego, because you know that you like it, and no one would harm you for it, because you used your very important time in the office at work to build something with Lego for your nameplates. So if you're aware of this, that it's okay to have fun, sometimes also to be silly and sarcastic at work, and do those things, then I think it's up to you, up to the project team, what to do, or how to motivate, how to push things further. So it could be this mini table tennis plate where the people are meeting after lunch break, for example. It can be also that after lunch break, when you're in general a little bit lower down, slower to say, to make a good old YouTube round, which means everyone can search or click on the YouTube video you would like to share with your colleagues. So these are the small things.
Yeah, I completely agree. Absolutely. If I would give you the task to say, okay, you build now your own startup and you hire people from the scratch for yourself, how you would choose them, like how you would go about to find them, to test them, what would the way you do, for example, your mini assessment center?
My assessment center, maybe it will sound completely odd or stupid for you, but I think my assessment center would look like that. I would put in the waiting room where the candidates would wait, I would put there a piece of paper on the floor next to an obvious positioned bin. Nothing nasty, or so really like more or less a clean sheet of paper. Someone left it there or fall down, whatever. And for me, the criteria would be, who is willing to take this piece of paper and put it to the garbage without that anyone told it to this candidate or to the person, or said, please do it, it's your job. And also without the aim to get appreciated for it, because no one told me, and probably no one will see it that I will do it, but it's my internal motivator to clean it up, because I see it. I don't have now anything to do, so I'm just waiting here for my assessment, and stand up and put it to the garbage. I think this would be really my assessment.
But it would be kind of hard to do if you say you build now a startup and you meet people, for example, in a coffee or in a rented office for an interview. I could imagine it's kind of hard to do these tests.
I think it's less about the test. I think it's more about the intention behind
what is behind it, exactly.
Yeah. What is important for me, and this is when you, especially when you build a startup, you don't know how the world will look like in probably 3 months, even less in 1 year. So maybe you are hiring now a person for your current need, but maybe your need is completely different in half a year or 1 year. So that's why I think you should more focus on, while hiring a person for your startup, but also for your project team or for the department or whatever, to find someone who is willing to work and willing to see things, fix things, even without that someone told him to do so. So there's internal spirit, so to say.
Yeah, I completely agree. So it's way more about how the personality is of the person and how she thinks about certain things than the knowledge and the expertise of a certain field. It's because it could imagine, especially in a startup or in this world today, that like you need to shift your priorities, you need to pivot to a different field. Then maybe the skills you hire the person first are not so helpful anymore. And I think if you check in innovation business books and their recommendations for good cultures, you probably end in the same area or similar areas like Good to Great. So these are books which go in a similar direction of a description, what to focus on in employees. I completely agree, yeah. So your way also brought you a lot in the direction of innovation. So how do you define innovation? What is innovation for you?
Oh, this is really difficult because this really depends on the company you're working in, and what is also the branch, what is your experience, and how is your self-understanding of innovation. I think you have both range, or the range would be from R&D, or which is more R&D focused, to we are completely so far away from our current business, Horizon 3 or whatever. We are out of the box. We don't want to have any connection to our business because we think more greenfield.
Yeah.
I emphasize with the quote, innovation is about creative disruptions.
Who was the guy? So guy was said that?
Joseph Schumpeter.
For what he is famous for, because I don't know him at all, to be honest.
It's about his understanding for how the economy will change, how to understand innovation, how you can create change.
So he's probably a professor for business and innovation, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, cool. So he said it's about a creative disruption, right?
Exactly. And this is, I think, what I'm emphasizing with. So thinking, what is the status quo? What do I want to change? And then usually when you're working in innovation department, then you're also hopefully, luckily in the situation where your management got you some slack that you can also try things out. So that your business, what you're doing, or your work you're doing, that it's not so hard connected to short-term goals. And with this, you can be creative and see what are really the pain points. Look a little bit over the edge, in which direction to go. What are the trends, the movement, and how to adapt.
Yeah, definitely. So can you tell us some practical examples of your time as innovation manager? For example, which certain goals you had in certain companies and how you applied them or reached them?
As innovation manager, unfortunately not. So I was hired now a couple of months ago as innovation manager, but I think so before the department was digitization for me, and I think there are things which both topics, both direction have really in common.
Yeah, I agree with you. So yeah, let's see it for this case in the same, because it's mostly really closely connected. So what were your certain goals in your certain companies, and how did you tackle them, and what for example successes you got out of it, where you accomplished?
I think first of all, it's important to think in which direction would you like to develop, because what I discovered also in digitization was that if you don't have a goal where you would like to go, or how to define digital, for example, for you, it's hard to create impact, because you never know if you are working towards a goal or what are you aiming for. So that's why the first step was there, that we created a definition for digital and also field for actions. I'll give you an example. I think the first thing you should decide in digital transformation is, for example, IT, office IT. Is this in scope for you or not? Why this question is important? Because usually when you build up a digital transformation department, then it's not always located in the IT department. So this is maybe the first struggle you need to face, and you need to maybe also discuss, negotiate who is focusing on what. And then for me, it is important that you don't focus on technology, because there will be always new and fresh technology. So it's not so cool if you always need to change and adapt also your definition, your field for actions, only because a new technology is arising. Then it's important also about the customer. If you give the customer a prominent place, so to say, in your field for actions and definition, or if you say, no, if I, for example, digitize my processes, then the customer is a beneficiary of it. So with the definition, or how to create it, you can really show already what is important for you, or what is in the future important for you. Yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah, so that's probably then the guidelines you could use to be successful with digitalization.
Yeah. I wrote my master thesis on the topic to create a digital readiness index, and assess it in the company, and also show first like results and field for actions. And for this master's thesis, I was doing a lot of research about different other readiness checks already. And what I learned, so the key takeaway was, there is no right or wrong. It's only important that you try, that you communicate it within your company, that you also invite different stakeholders. And there I don't mean only management, also regular field employees, to try and test it with you, to ask their opinion, what is important for them, and in which directions maybe you should also change. I think it's important that you have really an acceptance for what you're doing there. So that's why I would never recommend to create a digital strategy or definition field for actions with external consultancies.
Yeah, makes absolutely sense. So you say it's way more important that like the people set it, the the criteria, see how and when and why you want to digitalize, than the criteria itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Like have you been able to do this in the companies? Because it's also quite a task if you have not more than like 1,000 employees or more than some 100 employees to get them to a common ground or to get them on your side.
Yes, we made it in Energy, and from my perspective, it was also quite successful. And we struggled overall in the beginning. Also, the colleagues struggled with this because, as I said, there is no right or wrong. But in the end, when the struggle, the negotiation, the discussion stopped, it was nice to see that the people were really working, developing everything towards a common goal.
Yeah. So how did you structure that? Like, did you open a wiki site, or did you just do a big company meeting where everyone was there, or did you do it with clusters? So how did you handle the size of this company, which probably have some more employees than like 100? How did you be able to get all participating in the process?
Mm-hmm. It was even more difficult because it was also an international project or initiative we did there, because Innogy is the mother company and has the headquarter in Essen. We had 6 different DSOs in Germany, and then we had also DSOs abroad. So in Poland, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and that was challenging because for us in digital transformation, it was really important that we all work together, that we create this lighthouse project together, that we work on this together. So that's why the first change, which was obviously for the quite painful, maybe in the beginning also for the German colleagues, was that we said we will now switch to English. And switch all the communication to English and switch the collaboration to an international ground. And so in every company, because we were in this central team, and in every company we had a contact person for digitization. And this was more our contact person and multiplicator, so to say. And with them together, we made it. So in the end, maybe we had this 15 people. And that was not only one big meeting. That was, I think, over a time of 3 months, we developed it together. So identifying the status quo and defining the definition, defining field for actions, defining also how we need in the future. So it was a longer process.
Yeah, I can imagine. So your tactic was to have some key persons, multiplicators. They made then the synchronization and the communication, and then makes sense. Yeah. Cool. So we already talked a bit about work-life balance. So I can imagine now you don't do another study at the site right now, or are you still in the university to do some?
No. Happily not. So after the bachelor, I made also the master in parallel. But now, since a couple of years, I'm already without anything in parallel, and I really enjoy it because then there's more time to travel and see the world. So that's why no university in parallel.
So on the last time we talked about work-life balance, you said it's really important to appreciate your off time. So probably it's now still the same for you. If you ask you like, how do you think about work-life balance right now? You still try to appreciate the off time. What else you would add there, or how you stay in this parameter, say that you still appreciate your off time?
The biggest differentiator was for me, without this university, without doing anything in parallel, was to accept that to rest and doing nothing is okay.
Yeah.
Because I was used to that you need to do something, you need to
Yeah.
learn,
Yeah.
you need to hear something. And this gap, especially in the beginning, just after I finished, I filled with weekend trips, going abroad, seeing different cities, which was really nice. And for me, never really stressful to leave maybe home on Friday evening and come back on a Sunday night. But after a while, I realized that there was not really time at home, time to rest, time to sit on the couch, maybe also watch Bundesliga or do nothing, go out for a walk or listen only to music and read some magazines. And this is something I needed to learn to really switch off.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that, and I can relate to it. There's also there's a nice book called Essentialism, and there he also talks about his experiences with overachievers or like with really hard workers. And he said there the biggest challenge for them is just to really do nothing, and all these people would do a lot, or sometimes you would also say too much. He said like they should challenge themselves to really take off time and do nothing, because otherwise you go broke or you go nuts. You can't sustain it, even if you think you can. Yeah, completely agree. What are your favorite books?
My favorite books. So in general, I think my wife is more the one at home reading way more books than I do. So that's why my favorite books or book recommendations I always receive from her.
Go for it. Still counts.
I think I would divide my favorite books more into clusters. So maybe the first cluster for me would be to make it so to keep it simple and clear. Maybe this is a surprise not for you, but do you remember maybe from the time when you were younger, this was ist was Bücher? So in English, it would be maybe what is what books,
Yeah.
which is for children pretty easy. One topic like astronauts or the Earth or the brain or animals, whatever, really simple described. And this is what I liked. And there I got maybe my curiosity. And this is something I still do when there's an unknown topic, try to make it as simple as possible. Go on YouTube and maybe search for really simple explanations, maybe also sometimes for children, that you don't add unnecessary things around. So I like this book sometimes, which are pretty simple, described, not to overdo anything.
So what is then your favorite child book? Do you have a favorite a book, a topic?
I think it was about the construction machines.
Oh yeah, sounds interesting. Cool. So and how you which other areas you would because you said you cluster the areas.
Yeah, the second I would say it's about open your eyes, expand your horizons in business perspective, and there I like to read about hyper competition, for example, from Roland Eckert, who is giving some thoughts about competition in overall branches and what leads to hyper competition, why it's important that every business every area should think about it. And then you also have this open-minded, expand horizons in private the surrounding. And there I would recommend the book Thinking Fast and Slow. So to review your own approach, rethink, and better understand yourself and the people around you. I think another example in this direction would be the book How to Lead Smart People, for example. This is also very good to understand the people you're working with and try to understand yourself. But also old old books, I would say, like from Arthur Schopenhauer, The Art of Being Right. This is nice to read to challenge yourself, challenge how you act, and also understand how other people act.
Yep.
So this kind of books I like.
Really interesting recommendations. I'm also wondering right now if there's also a book next to How to Lead Smart People, How to Lead Stupid People. That would be also interesting to check if there's a book in this direction. Cool. Yeah. And Pascal, my last question for you is, if you could go back in time to your 18 or maybe 16-year-old self, because you left first time school with 16 years in the 10th grade, what would you tell yourself?
Good question. Probably choose your war or choose your fight wisely. Sometimes go with the flow. Sometimes let it happen. Everything happens for a reason. And sooner or later, you will understand and will see maybe in everything what happened, kind of an opportunity. And the second advice would be probably try to go as early as possible also abroad, where you're completely alone. It's only on you, and to realize how much you appreciate if there is a person abroad which completely doesn't know you but is willing to help you, even though you are not able to speak the language, or if you are completely lost. But sometimes it's someone is there to guide you, to help you, because this is what you also bring home afterwards. And hopefully you also never forget how you felt, how it was for you to be abroad. And there I'm not talking about making vacation abroad, where the maybe difficult problem is to find the buffet in the evening. So I mean really to work abroad, to live abroad. This is something I would for sure recommend.
I completely agree. It's like a good tip, and because it brings some humbleness to yourself in our modern first world situation. It's probably like good to get people out of the bubble and to get some context and to get some humbleness in. Definitely a really good tip. Pascal, it was a pleasure. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Pleasure was full on my side.
And see you next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Talk to you soon. Bye.